In the heart of the ancient kingdom of Benin, where bronze shone like the sun and stories were carved into ivory, lived a chief unlike any other. His name was Robert, a man respected for his wisdom, revered for his strength, yet he harbored a secret fear, a terror so profound it dictated his every move. What was this great leader so afraid of? Not of rival kingdoms, nor of wild beasts from the jungle. No, Chief Robert was afraid of his own shadow. He believed his shadow was a dark vessel, a silhouette that held all his secret flaws, his hidden weaknesses, and his deepest insecurities. To him, it wasn't just a trick of the light. It was a living, breathing testament to his imperfections. So, he lived his life in the half-light. His grand hut was always dimly lit, its windows covered with heavy, woven tapestries that blocked the sun's revealing rays. He held council meetings before dawn or after dusk, avoiding the harsh light of day. He walked under the dense canopy of the jungle, never in open clearings. His people saw a thoughtful, pensive leader, unaware that their chief was in a constant, silent battle with a part of himself he could never escape. For years, this strange dance with the sun continued. The kingdom flourished under Robert's guidance. Harvests were plentiful, the people were prosperous, and his reputation as a wise leader grew far and wide. Yet, inside, Robert felt like a fraud. Every cheer from his people felt like a whisper of deception. He felt unworthy of their praise, convinced that if they ever saw his true self, the one that danced in the darkness of his shadow, they would cast him out. His fear was a quiet poison, slowly eroding the foundation of his confidence. He spent his nights staring at the moon, the only celestial body he felt comfortable with, for its gentle light cast a faint, almost friendly shadow. Then, the sky turned against them. The rains, once as reliable as the rising sun, simply stopped. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The sun, Robert's greatest enemy, beat down relentlessly, a merciless golden eye in a cloudless sky. The earth cracked open like a dry pot. The yams withered on their vines. The leaves of the great trees turned brown and brittle, and the once mighty rivers shrank to sluggish, muddy streams. The laughter of children playing by the water was replaced by a heavy, anxious silence. Famine, a specter the kingdom had not seen for generations, began to stalk the land. The heart of the village, the sacred well, was the first to succumb. For as long as anyone could remember, its cool, clear water had never failed. But now, it was nothing but a dry, dusty hole in the ground. Panic began to ripple through the community. The people looked to their chief, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. Robert organized the rationing of what little water was left, his commands as steady as ever. But inside, his own fear was a raging drought. He felt helpless. All his strategies, all his wisdom, were useless against a silent, unforgiving sky. The elders of the kingdom, their faces etched with the worries of a lifetime, gathered in the grand council hall. They consulted the ancient scrolls, whispering the words of their ancestors. After a long night of deliberation, the oldest among them, a woman named Dia, whose eyes held the history of the kingdom, stood before Robert. Her voice, though frail with age, carried the weight of absolute authority. "Chief Robert," she said, "the ancestors have spoken. The land is thirsty because its leadership hides from the light. The legends tell of a ritual, a plea to the sky gods that can only be performed by a true leader, one who is whole and unafraid." Robert's heart pounded in his chest. "What must be done, Nia? The great drought can only be broken by the great standing," she proclaimed. "Our leader must stand at the crossroads, where the four paths of our kingdom meet, under the full glare of the midday sun. He must stand tall, embrace his own shadow, and show the heavens he has nothing to hide. Only a leader who can face his own darkness in the brightest light can summon the rain." A deathly silence fell over the council. Every eye turned to Robert. The crossroads, midday, the very scenario he had spent his entire life avoiding. It was a sentence, a direct confrontation with his deepest terror. His first instinct was to refuse, to find another way. But as he looked at the desperate faces of his council, the faces of his people, he saw their unwavering faith in him. He was their chief. Their survival rested on his shoulders. Could he let them perish because of his own private war with the shadow? That night, Robert did not sleep. He paced his dimly lit hut, his faint shadow mocking him from the walls. He saw the faces of his people, gaunt with hunger and thirst. He heard the silent cries of the land itself. The weight of his kingdom, The lives of every man, woman, and child pressed down on him. It was no longer about his fear. It was about his duty. He was a chief not just in title, but in spirit. And a true chief sacrifices for his people. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Robert made his decision. He would face the sun. He would face his shadow. He would face himself. He emerged from his hut as the sun began its ascent. For the first time, he didn't flinch from its rays. He walked through the village, his steps firm and deliberate. The people saw him, and a hopeful murmur spread like wildfire. They followed him, a silent procession of faith, as he made his way to the crossroads at the center of the kingdom. The sun climbed higher, becoming a searing orb in the center of the sky. The heat was immense. The air was still and heavy. Robert reached the crossroads, the packed earth hot beneath his bare feet. He turned to face the sun, closed his eyes for a moment, and took a deep breath. Then, he opened them. He looked down. There it was, his shadow, sharp, dark, and undeniable, stretched out before him. It was no longer the vague, shifting form of the half-light. It was a clear, crisp silhouette of himself, a dark twin born of the brilliant light. He stared at it, his heart hammering against his ribs. He expected to see the monster, the collection of flaws he had always imagined. But as he looked, really looked, he saw something else. He saw the outline of his broad shoulders, the shoulders that carried the weight of his people. He saw the shape of his strong stance, the stance that had stood firm against all threats. He saw the silhouette of his head held high, the head that housed the wisdom his people trusted. The shadow wasn't a monster. It was just him, all of him. The strength and the fear, the wisdom and the doubt, all cast in a single, unified form. A profound realization washed over him. The shadow was not his weakness. It was proof of his substance. It was the mark he made on the world, a testament to the fact that he stood in the light. Without light, there could be no shadow. Without his flaws, there could be no strength. They were two sides of the same whole. Standing there, under the fiery gaze of the noon sun, Robert felt a sense of peace he had never known. He was not a fraud. He was complete. He threw his arms wide, a gesture of absolute acceptance, embracing the light, his shadow, and his true self. He stood tall, a leader finally whole. And at that exact moment, a single, dark cloud appeared on the horizon. Then another. And another. A cool wind began to stir, whispering through the dry leaves. A low rumble echoed in the distance. The people gasped, their eyes wide with disbelief and awe. A single drop of rain fell, hitting the dusty ground. Then another, and another. Soon, the drops became a trickle, the trickle a shower, and the shower a torrential downpour. The sky opened up, and the rain came down in glorious, life-giving sheets. It washed the dust from the leaves, filled the cracks in the earth, and turned the dry riverbeds into rushing torrents once more. The people lifted their faces to the sky, laughing and crying, dancing in the miraculous downpour. The sacred well began to fill. The land was drinking, and it was being reborn. In the midst of it all stood Chief Robert, drenched but unmoving. He did not run for cover. He remained at the crossroads, his shadow now gone, absorbed by the overcast sky. But he knew it was still there, a part of him. He had faced his greatest fear and discovered his greatest strength. He learned that true power isn't about being flawless or hiding your imperfections. It's about embracing your entire self, the light and the dark, and standing tall in your own truth. From that day on, Chief Robert ruled not in the shadows, but in the brilliant, open light, a leader made whole by the very thing he once feared. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of wisdom and courage.